The following program is in no way intended to replace your doctor's advice or treatment program, nor should it be used as a tool for the purpose of self-diagnosis.
Hello and welcome to our Christmas edition of Your Health, Your Choice. Today we're going to be looking at a disease that is very, very common, but you probably have never heard of, the most common disease that you've never heard of, and it's fatty liver disease. As usual, we're going to be looking at the types of fatty liver disease. We're going to be looking at its prevalence, symptoms, diagnosing it, and of course, treatment and prevention. And of course, this morning we have with us, or today we have with us, Dr. Claude, community diabetologist. And if you could start introducing for us what fatty liver disease is.
So good to be here, and we missed you over the last few weeks. I had to do the program on my own, but you know, that's life. So it's good to have the beautiful one back on with me.
And you're the brain.
Well, beauty and the brains, eh? Okay, so fatty livers. It's as you're saying, Linda, it's one of those conditions that a lot of people have not heard about.
Yeah.
And it really falls under the area of gastroenterology. And there are people who are called hepatologists who specialize in liver disease. There are gastroenterologists who subspecialize in liver disease. We don't have many of them in Trinidad. We have one or two people. But there are several gastroenterologists. However, the reason I chose to finish off the year with this, although we might be doing some replays of other programs after these 2 weeks, is that I see a lot of people with fatty livers. And the reason for that is a lot of people with diabetes have a fatty liver. And they're very confused by it. Some people are very concerned. And we are often having to dialogue when we do blood testing, etc., how serious this condition is. So the first thing to say is that some of the figures I looked at is that at least 1 out of 4 people, now these are of course again US figures, but I have no reason to believe that it's any different. In fact, it may even be more common.
What I was thinking is recently, during the Obama administration, a lot of emphasis was placed on reducing obesity and dealing with preventative measures for health. I think what her program was called...
Michelle Obama.
Yeah, the Let's Move movement.
Which was...
And as a result of that, 45 million children are now eating healthier breakfasts and lunches. The awareness is there. And I think we're probably doing the same thing here, you know, raising awareness on what real food is and a good diet and how it affects your health.
In fact, just last week, we had we had our own seminar at the Anapausis Center, which was well attended. Thanks for all those who came out. And then we had at the Couva Health Facility last Friday, a patient awareness. It was a fantastic program. There was singing, there was parang. I really have to congratulate the people who coordinated the lead nurse together with all the people who came together. It was really a fantastic program. And I gave a talk about diabetes and the family.
Yeah. I like that calypso on sugar.
Yes. In fact, I think it's on Facebook. If you go on the Southwest Regional Health Authority Facebook site, you'll see that song. That was done by a doctor, a young doctor. Very, very innovative. But the point we were trying to make is that families need to be able to handle diabetes. Families need to be able to look at the next generation and trying to prevent diabetes, whereas this whole issue of obesity. So we're saying that 1 in 4, that's about 25% of the population may have a fatty liver. And if that is the case, then what are the implications of it? How can we approach this? Is it a serious condition or not? And we're going to talk about maybe just innocent fatty livers. And, you know, if we say 1 in 4, that means fatty livers are more common than diabetes per se, or a heart disease. But the interesting thing is that there's a link between all of this.
And most of us have never heard of fatty liver disease.
So I'm going to bring up a first slide, slide 2, which is a CT scan of the fatty liver. And you can see that, that's a scan of the liver. Now, that's not an ultrasound. Although an ultrasound can show a fatty liver, what it shows is fatty deposits.
So those yellow
areas are fatty deposits. Now, as I say, you might be able to pick up this on an ultrasound, but this is a CT scan, and this is a really innocent start of this whole condition. So we can come off the slide now. So the liver, as you can see, is a large organ. Yeah. And it's just behind, just below the right side of the rib cage.
And behind.
And to be able to examine, the patient needs to be lying flat, and then you palpate the liver area. And, in medical school days especially, we were trained how to do that examination. And you can also do something called percussion, which you place your fingers on the tummy and you hit there. You expect to hear a hollow sound if there's no enlarged organs, because if there's bowel, it's air. But if the liver is enlarged, as you come up towards the rib cage, you start hearing a solid sound. Now, that is a very imprecise way of looking for a fatty liver, but it's an examination, a physical examination. We often say we are living in such a technological age now that people are rushing in, a physical examination. And physical examinations are still the cornerstone of proper medical investigations. When a patient comes in, you don't go straight into giving therapy. You need to take the history. And I know I repeat this again and again, Linda, but it's important.
The diagnosis.
Yes, the way you make a diagnosis is by taking a careful history, by doing a physical examination, and then deciding on what the appropriate investigations might be. Okay. So
we've looked at the prevalence, and we've looked at what a CT scan of a fatty liver is. But I know that there are two types of fatty liver disease. Do you want to focus on the first one?
So if I could bring up slide 3 now. Slide 3. What this will show is, on the left-hand side, it's a healthy liver. And then you can see a progression where there's something called NAFLD or NASH. And I'll explain what that is. So from a normal liver, the first scan we saw, that's a healthy liver. The first scan we showed was fatty deposits. But now this is progressing to fibrosis of the liver, which is the middle diagram, and then the end stage is on the right-hand side, cirrhosis of the liver.
Right, so there are 3 stages there.
We could say that, yes, healthy, fatty, fibrosis, and then cirrhosis of the liver.
Cirrhosis is where it becomes hardened.
Right, so cirrhosis of the liver, yes, it's a hardened liver. It becomes very fibrosed. And I mean, the whole question, and we're going to show a clip on this, is why is your liver necessary in the first place? Some people may say, well, why are we talking about the liver? Well, it's a good time to talk about the liver with Christmas coming up.
Exactly.
That's why we chose to do this. But the liver, so you have a fatty liver, which I want to emphasize is a benign condition, and it is reversible. And we'll talk about lifestyle. So if a doctor says you have a fatty liver, you may have done a liver function test. You may have done ultrasound, your liver function, what is called the AST, and the ALT, alanine transaminase, and aspartate transaminase, and the gamma, the GGT levels go up a bit. People begin panicking. But it's very common. And one of the things I want to say right off is that the knee-jerk response when people see their liver enzymes going up, they say, oh, it is that cholesterol drug I'm taking. Now, I want to debunk that myth. I know Linda often tries to get me to be a little bit diplomatic, and I will, as she's with me on the program, I'll be a little bit more diplomatic than normal. But of course, I just want to say my dear wife does correct me on English. because she's the English expert and I take her correction. So my job is to correct people who are putting fake medicine out there on Facebook, fake medicine on programs, even in places of worship. And we need to do it gently.
Yes, yes. With grace.
With grace. Yes. Thank you very much, my dear. That's why I need you on my side. So I'm saying to you, a fatty liver is an indication that your cholesterol levels might have been high.
Right.
And your triglycerides, the fatty substance, the free fatty acids, are circulating through the portal system, and the fat is seeping out into the liver, and the cholesterol tablets are actually not causing the liver enzymes to go up, but they may actually save your liver and save your arteries. So I just wanted to put that back there on the table. We'll come back to it in a few minutes. But so it's called
NASH.
Fatty NASH now is the second stage, is where we have non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. Steato means fat. Hepatitis means inflammation of the liver. But it's non-alcoholic, so it's not related to alcohol. Because again, you know, when patients come in and we see their liver enzymes abnormal, the first thing we say is, how much alcohol do you drink?
Yeah, and cirrhosis of the liver has always been associated with alcoholism.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was and in the old days, but now we're understanding that a fatty liver might even be contributing more than the traditional cause of liver. So please don't blame our patients when we see an increased liver enzyme. It might not be related to alcohol at all.
Right. So then the second type is called the non-alcoholic, the alcoholic one.
Then we have the alcoholic liver disease, which I'll come to in a minute.
Yeah.
But I think we have a first clip that I wanted to show in this segment, which is simply what is the liver about. So we're going to go to that clip and then come back and talk a bit about that.
Your liver. Not something you think about every day? Well, maybe you should. Found just under the rib cage on your right side, this incredible organ does more than you can imagine. Let's count down 5 things to love about your liver. At number 5, it stops bleeding. If you find yourself saying, "I am bleeding," your next words should be, "Seriously, I would like to stop bleeding. Now." No, seriously. Luckily, the liver creates proteins that help clot blood, which stops bleeding. Number 4, your liver cleans your blood. Think of your liver like a giant sorting machine. It works all day and night to separate the good stuff like vitamins and nutrients from the bad stuff like alcohol, chemicals, from pesticides, pollution, and even cholesterol. Number 3, give it up for bile. Bile is a juice that the liver makes that has 2 big jobs. It's crucial for digesting food and for getting rid of those nasty toxins. Once it leaves the liver, bile moves over to the gallbladder where it's stored until you poop it out. Without this function, you'd be in big trouble. Number 2, your liver is a source of energy. It's kind of like a fueling station for the human body, open 24/7. And its main job is to maintain blood sugar levels. It works like this. You eat carbs, your body breaks down the carbs into glucose. Your liver grabs glucose and then stores it as glycogen. Your liver then breaks down that glycogen and releases sugar into your blood whenever you need energy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, something so outrageously cool about the liver that it boggles the mind. At number 1, it regenerates. No other organ in the human body has a greater capacity to rebuild itself. Even if up to 75% of it is diseased or removed, the healthy liver cells can take over and voila, the liver is back in business. While it doesn't rebuild the whole liver, enough comes back to function normally. All your liver asks for in return is that you treat it well. And that means exercise regularly and eat a healthy diet. Limit alcohol, manage your medicines, and don't smoke. If you're putting it in your body, you're putting it in your liver, so be kind.
Well, that was quite a casual and yet very informative clip. I quite enjoyed that. Didn't realize that there were so many functions to the liver.
Yeah. You summarized it there.
Well, I tried. The bleeding, stopping the bleeding, separating toxins, producing bile, and as a source of energy. And then that most wonderful thing that as an organ, it can regenerate itself. The cells can regenerate.
Yes.
So
I mean, I guess that's why if we can get this condition early enough, the non-alcoholic steatohepatitis or NAFLD, NAFLD, which is the same thing basically. And one of the things was, who are the people that are at risk?
Mm-hmm. And who are they?
Who are the people at risk? I just wanted to point that one out.
Yeah.
Well, I have a slide 4 here, which I hope nobody takes offense by, but as you can see, it's a patient coming in who is significantly overweight, carrying a lot of fat around the tummy area, doing their blood pressure, which is probably high, probably has diabetes, probably has a high cholesterol. Now, I want to come off that, and you may say, how dare you, Dr. Khan, just look at a photo and say that this patient might be at risk. But actually, the art of doing medicine is looking at that patient coming through your door, and almost before that patient sits in your seat, you begin to think, what might be some of the pathological conditions that we're going to be hearing about? And after 30-something years of doing medicine, practicing medicine, you get a gut reaction. Some people surprise you. I mean, I have seen some slim people come in with diabetes because of the strong family history. So, and again, I just want to emphasize, and I get into these debates on Facebook, which you say I shouldn't do, but there's a lot of misunderstanding of the role of lifestyle. Lifestyle is fundamental to most diseases, but if you have a strong family history of colon cancer, of breast cancer, you can live as healthily as you want to. And people will not like me saying this, but you have an extremely high risk of developing those cancers. Similarly with diabetes, if you have 2 parents with diabetes, mother and father, you have about a 90% risk. So I have seen this last week, a 34-year-old, very muscular man, Afro-Trinidadian guy, and he's developed diabetes. And yet his lifestyle is fairly healthy. And why did he develop diabetes? Because his family history is littered with the genetics. So
the DNA profiles.
And the genetics. So you might say, why do I look at that person? I think we have to go to a break.
Yes.
Well, we're going to go to a break, and then when we come back, I'll talk about that patient.
Okay, so we'll take our first break, and when we come back, we'll continue looking at liver disease, the disease that you probably never heard of.
Looking for a safe place for the whole family? Well, now you found it. We are ACTN The Voice, your family-friendly station. Whether it's current affairs, kids and classic TV, sport and community features, Christian and music programming, plus so much more, ACTN is the station for you. Join us each day for programming that puts morals, values, and family first. We are ACTN The Voice, your family-friendly station.
ACTN The Voice, your family-friendly station.
Welcome back to Your Health, Your Choice, our Christmas edition. And we're looking today at a disease that is quite common, but which you probably have never heard of, fatty liver disease. We've examined so far the 2 types. We've looked at the prevalence of it. And there was a slide just before that you were examining to explain.
Yeah, so we started with benign fatty liver.
Yes.
A lot of people may have that, and it's a reversible condition. And then we say you can then have this condition called NASH or NAFLD, which is a non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. Steato means fat, hepatitis means inflamed liver. And then we'll come to alcoholic fatty liver disease. And the patient I showed, who was a little bit overweight, well, significantly overweight, I made the statement that his blood pressure might be high, his cholesterol might be high, and he might have a fatty liver. And you might say, well, how do I know that? Well, that comes back to the art of doing medicine. When a patient comes in, you begin to think, what are the risk factors for this patient? Having a stroke, having a heart disease. And, one of the things as healthcare professionals we should be doing is preventative care. And it's sad when I see someone in their 50s having had their first stroke, and I sit there thinking that could have been prevented.
Yes.
So yes, the reason I say that patient, I could almost predict if that patient doesn't lose weight, or that patient may already have a high blood pressure, high blood sugar. So the risk factors for NASH is diabetes, abdominal fat, abdominal adiposity, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol, high triglycerides. Those are 4, and then we'll come to the alcohol bit.
So basically, if we practice the preventative measures associated with those diseases, heart disease, diabetes, and so on, we can prevent fatty liver disease as well.
We can certainly prevent the progression of fatty liver disease going on to something that's more serious, which is, now there's not always that continuum. You can reverse fatty livers, but you don't want to get to the NASH situation, which you can still reverse, but then if it goes on to fibrosis. Now, interestingly, at the recent EASD, the European Association for the Study of Diabetes in Berlin, we were there, there was a symposium completely on fatty livers.
Right.
And in the first world countries, they now have very sophisticated tests to do to actually pick up on the fibrosis or the stiffening of the liver. So you know whether this is a benign condition or whether this is something that you should take a little bit more seriously.
Right. Okay, so we've looked at the 2 types of fatty liver disease. What are some of the symptoms?
Right. So were we going to talk about alcohol? Were we going to talk about alcohol? Oh, you want to talk about the symptoms of, can we just, because
sure,
alcoholic liver disease can present in a similar way. So people will say, what are the symptoms? But I just want to show slide 5,
sure.
which, slide 5. Now, notice it's mainly women. I'm not being chauvinistic there. But there's a
wine
reason.
And cheese.
Right. Yes, there's a reason why I have women with their wine and cheese. Okay, because alcohol intake is rising in both males and females. So alcoholic liver disease. Do you know the alcohol tolerance for a female
is different?
Is different to a male. And unfortunately, a lot of our young females, there's what we noticed when we were in the UK, there's this pub culture where people go drinking on weekends, etc. And
the idea is to get as drunk as possible and to do the most ridiculous things
and there's this,
the influence.
Right, there's this term ladettes.
Oh yeah, the ladettes, yeah.
Right.
I remember telling some of my teenagers whom I'd seen drunk at one of these get-togethers, I had to go to the bathroom to help 2 or 3 of them who were getting nauseous and so on. And they were only 14 at the time. And so the next, when we got back to school, I tried to give them a little pep talk, and I was saying, why do you all need to drink yourself silly like that? That it's not, it's not appropriate for young ladies to behave like that. And they said, young ladies, we're ladettes. We're not young ladies. They don't even understand the concept or want to be considered ladies. And
I know that's concerning, because that has nothing to do with your religious upbringing. We're not kind of imposing our, we're on a Christian station, and we are Christians, we are pastors as well, but we're not even bringing that thought. It's about decency. It's about being sensible.
That is it.
Healthy. Yeah. In fact, one of the organizations we work with talk about risk avoidance. They run a program for teenagers in schools on risk avoidance, and they don't bring religion into it as such, but it's being sensible about how much you drink. So we know that alcohol was the leading cause of cirrhosis of the liver, but now this condition called NAFLD or NASH is beginning to take over. But alcohol is still a very serious contributing factor. And can I say, if you have a fatty liver, your alcohol intake should be almost none, because that can rapidly progress it. So what's the accepted alcohol intake for a woman?
I have no idea.
Right. So we say about 14 units of alcohol a week, but, you know, people...
And a unit is what, a glass?
Well, you see, this is a problem because, you know, people might want me to say that, you know, all alcohol intake is unacceptable, but I'm not wearing my pastor's hat here. And even if I were, I don't agree with that statement. So you can... Moderation. We teach moderation in our church. But 14 units, a unit of alcohol is maybe like one beer or a glass of wine, red wine or white wine is about 2 units. So if you have just 2 or 3 glasses of wine, that's already hitting about 7 to 8 units in that one drink. So if you have 1 drink per day for the week, and it's 2 units in each drink, which is most, if it's scotch, if it's vodka, whatever, then you have got up to 14 units as a female. We say 21 units for a male. But you know, a lot of people, the problem is they underestimate their drinking.
Right. Okay.
And
it gets worse the more you drink.
And yeah, the more you drink, the more, and that's why I'm coming back to one of my favorite things. When you go to these clubs, the big ones with bright lights where you spend out all your money by gambling. And I want to tell you, gambling is an addiction. They may dress it up. They may make it look nice. They may look in bright lights at our biggest malls, but gambling is an addiction. I want to beg you, you know, we are living in a tough economic time. People have got payouts, retrenchment packages, etc. Protect your money from the hawks who are trying to take your money away by enticing you. Because, Linda, bear with me, please. When you go to these places, they pump you with alcohol.
Yeah.
It's free.
So you lose your sense of reasoning.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you get free food, etc. Not that I've been there, but I've heard. And I want to just warn people again, gambling is addictive. It gives you a serotonin high and a dopamine high. But when you lose your money and you go into debt, I didn't mean to say all of this, but we're coming up to Christmas time. So coming back to the
Excesses,
drinking. Yeah. People will be drinking a lot over Christmas. And, you know, we need to advise people what is an acceptable intake of alcohol.
Okay, good. So that was the NAFLD and the NASH, those 2 types of fatty liver disease. Yeah, let's move on to the symptoms, because what are the symptoms? And I know you're going to tell me it's a silent killer.
Right. So I'm going to bring up slide 6, because this shows a young lady lying on a bed, obviously in some pain. And you may think that that is the most common presentation because she's holding the right side of her abdomen and she's obviously in discomfort. But can I just say, and as we come off that slide, yes, the most common symptom of a fatty liver is nothing at all. You have been walking around with a fatty liver. It's similar to gallbladder problems. I had a patient come in to me on Saturday and did an ultrasound for some reason, and it showed a very large gallstone, in fact, multiple gallstones with what we call cholecystitis, chronic cholecystitis, so the gallbladder is inflamed. So he was saying to me, what do I need to do about this? Now I said, look, if I send you to a surgeon, not all surgeons, but they probably will tell you need to get your gallbladder removed. And then he said, but I've had no problems with this. I never knew I had this. Well, it's like the cancer I had earlier in the year. I didn't know I had cancer, colon cancer, but thank God it was discovered, removed, and I'm cancer-free. But fatty liver is a similar thing.
Right.
So the diagram I showed is really a extreme end where your liver begins to be enlarged and you might get abdominal pain, discomfort, etc. But that's not the common presentation. We had a second clip, yes. Clip, yes.
Right.
I think we have enough time in this segment to do it. And this will show in a little bit more detail this whole concept of NAFLD, NASH, etc.
The liver is the body's metabolic HQ, detoxifying the blood, making proteins and hormones, aiding digestion and processing nutrients. Most people know it best as the organ that clears up after a night in the pub, and that heavy drinking can cause severe damage. But it's actually non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or NAFLD, that now has doctors and scientists worried. Linked to the global increase in obesity, 1 in 4 people has a fatty liver. When calories are well matched to the body's energy consumption, the liver orchestrates an ebb and flow of energy storage and distribution. But when fat and carbohydrate flood the liver, the system becomes overwhelmed and stops working properly. If more than 5% of cells in a person's liver contain large fat droplets, that person is said to have a non-alcoholic fatty liver. At this stage, a fatty liver is still reversible with changes to diet and exercise. But without intervention, things can get much worse, leading to cell death and chronic inflammation. If this happens, NAFLD becomes a condition called NASH. Unchecked, it increases the risk of cardiovascular disease and serious liver problems, including cancer and cirrhosis, which is when scar tissue forms in the liver. Treating NASH is crucial, but even at advanced stages, its symptoms can be vague, and doctors struggle to diagnose it. Currently, we need a slice of your liver, hold the fava beans and Chianti, to spot fat depositions, inflammation, and scar tissue, but there has to be an easier way. Scientists are developing an accurate blood test. Or we can look to the coolest guy in the hospital. New, more sensitive ways of detecting how ultrasound waves change provides a picture of how much fat and scar tissue is in a liver. Numerous studies have shown that diet and exercise can reverse fatty liver and even NASH, but lifestyle change can be the trickiest prescription of all. And if NASH continues to worsen, doctors will want to intervene. Currently, there are no drugs specifically approved for treating NASH. However, hundreds of drug trials are underway. Some drugs act in the gut, halting fat absorption and stopping the release of pro-inflammatory signals. Most target the liver directly, aiming to stop the metabolic stress that triggers NAFLD. Others try to prevent NASH by blocking the effects of metabolic stress, by stopping inflammation and cell death, and some drugs are making progress on that difficult scar tissue. Livers work relentlessly to keep us going, and researchers are working ceaselessly too to better understand, diagnose, and treat this increasingly common condition, helping us all live a healthier life.
Okay, so I quite like these scientific clips as well, and they're very visual.
Visual, yeah.
They do help us to understand the conditions. We're going to our next break now.
Well, not just yet. I think we have for 3-4 minutes.
Really?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Right, so cameraman says we have 5 more minutes. What do you want to do in that 5 minutes?
No, well, I just wanted to recap what was said there, because that gave a nice overall view, and we're going to come back to treatments and what we do. But I want to bring up slide 7 on the PowerPoint presentation, slide 7. And this shows a person having an investigation. So they're having an ultrasound, but you see there's a needle as well. Now, liver biopsies are not done very often here in Trinidad. And even most of the gastroenterologists, they would not rush in to do a liver biopsy because you have to be careful. This is a ultrasound-guided liver biopsy. What the biopsy does, as the clip showed, and we can just come off that slide. And let me say, I mean, an ultrasound is a painless procedure. Yeah. CT scans are painless procedures, but with the ultrasound guided, you can actually maybe look at the area that is fatty or looks fibrosed, and then you can target that area and take a piece off, and then that could be sent to, right, a biopsy, and it's sent to the lab. You look at it under the lab, and then you can say, is this just innocent fatty liver? Is it beginning to progress to NAFLD or NASH? Or, God forbid, is it the extreme end, which is cirrhosis? One of the things that I forgot to mention was that this condition, not a fatty liver, but NASH and alcoholic liver disease can lead to cirrhosis and hepatocellular cancer.
Right.
It's a predisposing factor to liver cancer. Now, liver cancer is not a common cancer, and we're going to talk about vaccinations, hopefully, before we're finished, because there are vaccinations you can do, because hepatitis C, for example, is also a common predisposing factor, risk factor for hepatocellular cancer. So liver cancer is the end stage of all of this. It is not that common, but I think the take-home message from this was that this condition is reversible.
And I like the idea that the liver cells are regenerative. So if you do take off the part of the liver that has been affected, the cells do regenerate. Okay, so we're going to our second break. And when we come back, we'll continue looking at our Christmas edition of Your Health, Your Choice, focusing on fatty liver disease.
Looking for a safe place for the whole family? Well, now you found it. We are ACTN The Voice, your family-friendly station. Whether it's current affairs, kids and classic TV, sport and community features, Christian and music programming, plus so much more, ACTN is the station for you. Join us each day for programming that puts morals, values and family first. We are ACTN The Voice, your family-friendly station.
ACTN The Voice, your family-friendly station.
Welcome back to Your Health, Your Choice, our Christmas edition. We're looking at fatty liver disease. So far, we've examined its prevalence, we've examined causes, the two types of liver disease, the symptoms, and how we go about diagnosing it.
Yes.
In this segment of the program, we move on, I guess, now to treatment.
Treatment, yes. And the first thing, of course, is losing weight. So slide 9 is just a scale. I'll still bring it up. It's good to have a scale at home, whether you have it in pounds or kilograms. It's whatever choice you make. So I'll just come off that quickly. So weight. Losing weight, Linda, is one of the most challenging. And by the way, I'll just give the number that if you have questions, it's 482-4269 during the week, 482-4269, apart from my email address, which you are welcome to email. But you can also WhatsApp your questions, because ringing that number sometimes might be difficult, but you can WhatsApp the questions. So losing weight is tough. You know, the amazing thing is I often have a husband and wife coming to me, and one of them is a patient. And one person will say, well, you know, we eat the same things, yet I put on weight, and that man does not put on a pound.
Well, I always found it was unfair that the testosterone hormone is not associated with fat, and yet an estrogen hormone. And we have more estrogen, and we attract more fat cells.
What can I say? That's the way God created us.
Why do women need more fat cells than men?
But can I just say that testosterone is not always a blessing. I will pause there.
It's a blessing where fatty liver disease is
right. Okay. So testosterone is let me just sidetrack. It is a big area of that patients coming to me with diabetes, low testosterone, etc. We talk about a male andropause now, and people used to laugh about that, but it's a big area of medicine that we are. And actually, low testosterone can also cause muscle wasting, lack of energy, etc. So, yes, the whole testosterone, estrogen, women do have more fat. And generally, I think women struggle with their weight a little bit more than men.
Definitely.
But you sidetracked me, Linda.
I know.
The point I was trying to make was that losing weight is not as easy as some people make it out to be.
Yeah.
And you know, I think we're sometimes cruel on our patients, and we make them feel that they're gritty, they're not trying. Some patients are genuinely trying to lose weight. But can I just say, there's this latest fad about a ketogenic diet. I'm seeing it on Facebook, I'm seeing it in various places. Be careful about the ketogenic diet. Because
first of all, explain what the ketogenic diet is.
Well, the ketogenic diet is a diet where you do away with all your carbs and you're basically eating a high protein diet. And the problem with the ketogenic diet is that you could be bombarding your kidneys with a lot of protein, and you could even go into a ketotic condition. And you have to be careful. You will lose weight. That's the thing about it. You will lose weight, but whether you can sustain it is the answer. So
and it might be affecting other organs in your body.
Other organs. So I would say, yes, losing weight is the first step. We have about 15 more minutes to treating this condition. And then slide 10 is exercise. We see maybe husband and wife or two people, not even in a gym, just walking. Doesn't look like Trinidad, but
well, you know,
so we can just come off that slide.
We're pretty much aware. I've been reading this book. In fact, I just finished it, Becoming by Michelle Obama.
She's one of your favorite first ladies, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Or former first ladies.
Former first lady. But, you know, she divided the book into 3 sections. Becoming Me, where she looks at her childhood and, you know, the fact that her mom stayed at home and prepared all their meals and so on, but obviously it was a very Southern diet. But they were encouraged to do a lot of physical exercise. And then she moves into Becoming Us, where, of course, she looks at the relationship with Barack Obama and the family and how it developed, and that they get into the White House and how that progresses. And then the final bit is Becoming More. And so as they were leaving the White House, she started examining all the programs that they had implemented, which had helped because, of course, he'd had a lot of opposition. Remember, he had gone into power when the economy was in a very, very bad state. And in 8 years, he managed to bring it out of recession. And so this Let's Move Active Schools program was so effective. 11 million more students are getting 60 minutes of physical activity every day through that program now. And children overall are eating more whole grains and produce. And the era of supersized food is now coming to a close.
Right.
And we always used to comment on the fact that when you go to the States, you find that their portions are a lot bigger than what we're used to. But people are becoming much more aware now because of that program. She planted a huge garden in the White House, and she would have kids come in and do the sowing, do the reaping, and so they could actually see that what real food was. Because up until that point, she even admitted it with her own 2 children. She was they thought that everything came from a grocery.
Right.
Packaged off the shelf. They didn't know where it originated. And once we build that awareness in the next generation, I think we will be dealing with obesity in a very concrete way.
Right. I think we need initiatives like that. Hopefully, the funding for those programs, because the U.S. is facing an obesity epidemic. And if they don't take steps to deal with that obesity epidemic, you see, what people often miss is that we pump money into the downstream technological aspects of medicine, you know, the MRI scans and all the latest research tools that we have. But, you know, if you pump money in the preventative aspect, which I again say to the Ministry of Health, and I said this on Friday at the Hoover Health Facility, all our health centers should have a gym or some sort of exercise equipment, because rather than just pumping people with medication, which people need, you know, if you can get them exercising, if you could get them eating healthily. And in fact, there was someone from the Ministry of Agriculture there, and he was encouraging people to go back to having back gardens, home gardens, and planting simple things that, you know, you are active as well as you're saving money and eating healthily. Now, so exercise, and then I just want to bring up slide 11. And if you have a fatty liver, NASH, this is saying no to alcohol. So I just want to put this in context, right? No to alcohol. So we're just going to come off that. No to alcohol.
So we don't consume alcohol at all?
Right. So let's put that in context. I'm saying that people with fatty livers, with NASH or NAFLD, that they certainly should almost cut out all the alcohol intake. I am not, again, an advocate of sitting here tonight saying from a medical point of view that all alcohol is bad, because that has not been scientifically proven. We can go back and forth about that. But I am saying
if you have
those conditions, you should be saying no to alcohol. And
generally just taking care of your health.
Taking care of your health. Yeah. Slide 13 is showing someone taking an immunization. Now, I just wanted to spend, we only have about 9 more minutes. That could be a hepatitis vaccination. or it could be Vaxigrip, which is the flu shot, or the pneumococcal shot. So I just want to come off that. Linda, again.
That's preventative.
Preventative, but I want to just hold this thought, because there's a lot of fake medicine, again, trying to tell you that immunizations are bad for your children. Please, I beg you to understand that immunizations were one of the most important discoveries in medicine in the last century. Polio was almost eradicated. Smallpox was eradicated. The tuberculosis was a scourge. And insulin discovery, of course, which is my favorite thing. So, when I hear people saying that, and in fact, the sad thing, Linda, because of these conspiracy theories that drug companies are out to get you, and I am not saying drug companies are all innocent, because they're companies. They
make billions.
Right, and they want to make a profit. But what we have to look at is when you tell people, don't take your children for the MMR, or don't take your children for your vaccinations, you are then decreasing what we call herd immunity. Because part of the thing about immunization is to get as many people immunized as possible, so you have immunization, you have protection for the entire community.
Right.
So the flu shot, can I just say, the flu shot is very important for people who are over 60 to 65, diabetics, hypertensives, people with heart disease, asthma, etc. And it's especially if you're traveling. So please access your flu shots either through the health centers or your private doctors. The hepatitis shots, and a lot of people don't know about this, but there's the hepatitis A. In fact, with our daughter going into medical school, she had to have her range of hepatitis B.
Yeah.
Because if you get a needle stick injury, so all of us as doctors and healthcare professionals at risk, we have had to have our hepatitis B vaccinations, and it's 3 shots, 1, then 6 weeks, and then 6 months. And then there's hepatitis C, which is spread by drug use or blood transfusions. And hepatitis C is the one that attacks the liver in particular. And then there's the pneumococcal vaccination. A lot of people have never heard about the pneumococcal vaccination. It's to prevent pneumonia, and it's given once every 5 to 10 years, whereas the flu shot is given once a year. So,
the fake medicine, the fake
saying that these vaccinations are bad, it's not accurate.
Okay.
I think we only have about...
so do we need to, crucial question, do we need to detox our livers?
Right. We have 6 more minutes. Can I just show one more slide?
Before you answer that
Before I answer that question. Yeah. Slide 14, which should be one of your favorite slides.
Oh, yes, broccoli.
Broccoli and carrots and, healthy.
Tomatoes.
I don't know if I would enjoy that. Yes, I should say I would enjoy that meal. It looks very delicious.
Colorful.
So we can come off of that. Maybe you could try and have some of your Christmas meals look like that, rather than, we were joking that although we are not Hindus, in our house at Diwali, that day we had more roti because several people from our church who come from the Hindu background, of course, they cooked the roti and they were dropping roti for us. And we had the roti in the fridge.
Several
in
days.
the freezer, right? And I joked with people, take a knife and fork and eat your roti. No, I'm trimming to the bone, but you can take a knife and fork and eat your roti. You eat less. Linda, can we detox the liver?
Yes. Do we need to detox our livers?
No. No. You do not need to detox your liver. It is fake medicine. Linda will tell me, go easy at this point. People are spending millions of dollars detoxing your liver. Your liver is a natural detoxifier.
Yeah.
And I know I get passionate about this.
That was in the first clip, wasn't it? That it actually separates the toxins.
Absolutely. Your blood does not need detoxifying because your God-given organs, I don't want to preach here today. We only have 5 more minutes. But your God-given organs are given to detoxify you. The colon, the whole thing about colon cleansing. Of course, if you are suffering with chronic constipation and things like that, you need to see your doctor and be able to be diagnosed properly. Some people have a slow bowel transit time and all that. But the whole area of detoxifying the liver, Linda, it's not accurate. That last slide we showed is, of course, your favorite area about healthy eating, high fiber foods.
Nutrition is very important. Yeah. But, and the thing is, I know we're dealing with fatty liver disease, but if you use those preventative measures for that particular disease, you're also covering preventative measures for other diseases.
Right.
Heart disease, diabetes, hypertension,
absolutely.
all of those
things. And Linda, I'm happy that as we're closing up, you're bringing that point up, because a fatty liver is a predisposing factor or a pointer towards screening people for diabetes. So if I have someone coming to me for another reason and I see they have a fatty liver, I will send them for a diabetes check. I will send them for heart disease check. I would make sure that they're eating healthily, etc. Because it's this whole thing that we call the ominous octet, where all these organs are interplaying with each other, and therefore you don't treat an organ, you treat a patient. I saw we had 4 more minutes.
Yeah.
left.
Do you want to put your posters?
Oh, already?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. You might have some things.
I mean, well, no, we've covered.
Yes.
You know, the reason why we need to discuss it, because of course many people are unaware of or haven't heard of fatty liver disease.
And we may come back to this.
We've looked at the causes. We've looked at the 2 types.
Yes.
We've looked at symptoms. We've looked at the diagnosing of it, treatment of it, and prevention.
Yes.
And then that whole major question about detoxifying the liver.
Right, great.
So,
well, there's a poster, there's a flyer I wanted to bring up, and this is promoting something that we are going to have at the Anapausis Chapel. We are on the bypass. We have some big signs there. You can't access the building from the bypass, but carols by candlelight, Sunday, December the 16th. Now, it says 4 to 7 p.m., but really it's 5 to 7 p.m. We're going to be building a stage outside on just almost not on the bypass, but next to inside the gate. We're going to have some guest singers, parang, hopefully. We're going to maybe light up one of the Christmas trees, and we have lots of refreshments after, and we're inviting the community to come and join us. Come and we can come off that slide or that JPEG, and come and join us. It's an open invitation. You don't have to be, we went to Faith Center on Sunday night. And in fact, I told our church on Sunday morning, why not go down to Faith Center? Because they had Handel's Messiah. Beautiful. And it was an amazing production. I met Bishop Chankasing after, and I congratulated him on what a great job that they did.
I think we need to thank Victor Prescott and Michelle Dowrich, Bernie Roberts, and her daughter. I mean, it's a very, very difficult production.
And it was excellent.
Quality of music was by far international.
So we don't have to stay in our little cocoons. We can open ourselves. Let me just say, as we are in Advent, we are moving towards Christmas. In our church, we have started using the Advent candles. And we talk about joy, we talk about love, we talk about peace, and we talk about hope.
The gifts of the season.
The gifts of the season. Because when the angels appeared to the shepherds, it was glad tidings of great joy that there will be a Messiah, and that he would be what? The Prince of Peace. So we will be lighting the Advent candles in our church week after week. And I want to say to you, some of you may have lost jobs. We know that, especially in the southern area, there are people who are just been retrenched, and this Christmas may be different. There's a lot of hopelessness. I want to say to you in this Advent season that Jesus Christ can give you hope. He can give you peace. He can give you love. He can give you joy. Why not open your life to him and allow the spirit of Advent to be part of your life? Linda, I think we have over 30 more seconds.
Well, as we close this final edition for 2018, we want to say, may the gifts of the season be with you. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and mainly self-control this Christmas as you focus on fatty liver disease.